I fear she has branched into literary criticism by means of satire.
You met and fell in love with a witch named Queenie Goldstein. Had your brain wiped by means of obliviation, only it didn't take.
Guided Eurasian rocket bombs to targets on Airstrip 1 by means of coded radio signals.
Hello and welcome to TalkWord. This is the show where we get right into the nuts and bolts of the English language. Today we're going to tackle a really useful and, kind of formal phrase, by means of. It might sound a little fancy, but trust me, by the end of this explainer, you're going to feel totally confident using it to make your English sound extra polished. So let's start with a really basic question. We're always trying to explain how something got done, right? So how do you actually link an outcome with the specific method or tool you use to get there? Well, the most obvious way is to just say something like, she opened the can using a tool. Super clear, totally correct, and it's perfect for everyday conversation. Nothing wrong with it at all. But what if you're not just chatting? What if you're writing a report or a research paper or maybe giving a big presentation? You probably want something that sounds a little more elevated, a bit more academic. In that case, you could say, she did it by means of a tool. See? Can you just feel that shift? The meaning is exactly the same, but the tone, it's completely different. It's more formal, more structured. So let's dig into that. Okay, so let's get into it. What is this phrase really doing here? Let's break down its core meaning. At its heart, by means of has one very specific job. It describes the how. It tells us the method, the instrument, or the whole process that somebody used to make something happen. A really great way to remember this is to picture a bridge. So on one side of a river, you've got your action. On the other side, that's your goal, your result. By means of is that bridge. It's the structure that explains exactly how you got from point A to point B. Now, this next part is probably the most important rule about this phrase. This isn't really something you just drop into a casual text to a friend. Its real power comes from its formality. And this shows that contrast perfectly. Over in the formal corner, we've got by means of, and on the other side, you've got all the everyday options like using, with, or through. They all get the same idea across, sure, but choosing by means of is a deliberate choice. It sends a signal that you're in a more academic or technical or professional setting. It's all about matching your language to the situation. Of course, the best way to really get a feel for a phrase is to see it out in the wild. So let's look at a few examples from different areas to see how people are actually using it. So in a science paper, you might see this. It just sounds so much more precise than using sensors, right? It elevates the language to match that scientific context, clearly stating the instrument that was used. Or how about a business example? In a big strategy meeting, this phrase clearly lays out the method for hitting a major goal. It's not just with a partnership, it sounds like a deliberate process, a chosen means to an end. And even in something like a history book, this phrase works perfectly. It describes the specific tactic that led to that big historical event. It adds a certain kind of weight and seriousness to what's being said. So you get what it means and you get when to use it. But how do you decide between by means of and its simpler cousins? Well, let's make a quick guide for that. Think of this as your personal cheat sheet. Right at the top, you can see by means of has a high formality level, and it's best for abstract processes or methods. Then you have your more neutral options. Using is great for simple tools. With works well for instruments, and through is just perfect when you're talking about a process with different stages. If you keep this mental map handy, you'll always pick the perfect word. Okay, we've covered the meaning, the formality, we've seen some great examples. Now it's all about making sure you feel ready to use this phrase with total confidence. Let's recap the essentials. So if you remember nothing else, remember these 4 things. 1, it's formal. 2, it connects an action to a method. 3, remember that bridge metaphor we talked about? And 4, its natural home is in academic and professional writing. Keep these in mind and you'll nail it every time. And now, to wrap things up, I want to leave you with a question and a chance to practice. Using our new phrase, I want you to think about this. What is something you hope to achieve by means of learning English? Maybe it's a new job, the ability to travel. Whatever it is, just thinking about it in these terms is a perfect way to really make this phrase your own. Hey, if you have fun breaking this down with me today, you can do so much more with our app. You can actually create your very own explainers for any English word or phrase that you're curious about. Just download the TalkWord mobile app. Inside, you can create your own personal English word explanation podcast. We've got 2 friendly AI hosts ready to help you bring any word or phrase to life, just like we did today. It's a really powerful and, honestly, fun way to deepen your understanding. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.
Perhaps you've read On the Origin of the Species by Means of Natural Selection by Charles Darwin.
It is by means of a human personality entirely in his possession that Satan will wage his last